Today on the DML News Podcast, we're going to be talking a lot about messaging, the importance of messaging on the conservative side, because the Democrats are coming out loud, they're coming out furious, and they're pulling in big crowds. We're going to be on fire today. I'm going solo, and it's going to be all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I thank you for joining me today on this Monday. On the controls is my son, Ryan, missing from studio today, but in the back in the warehouse is my son, Denny. We took in so many orders for one of the last, for a while, DML CBD BOGO events that we're so backed up. Denny's back there packaging. Can't be on the show today. Want to let you know right now, if you are an existing customer or a new customer and you realize the power of DML CBD, because there is no other. It's like going shopping for a car. You got a Ferrari or a Kia, and they're both the same price because the guy who has the Ferrari is just such a nice guy like me. Which one are you going to take? You're going to grab the Ferrari. DML CBD BOGO, I've extended it. I don't know when I'm going to close it, but I know a lot of people were waiting for their tax checks. They said, hey, I got to pay my tax bill. Can you wait until after tax day? I'm going to leave it open for a little while. DMLCBD.com. You go there. Any item is a buy one, get one free. Take advantage of this. We're doing this not only to help you, but to help us, because we are leaving this facility in the next couple of months, and we're looking to get rid of all the inventory we can. The next BOGO will be when we move into our next facility. So do not make a mistake. If you're looking in the cupboard and you're like, I could get through another 2 or 3 months. Well, if you got a couple of coins in your pocket, make it so this way you could extend it to 5-6 months. So this way you don't fall short, because I'm not going to be able to help you if we're not in our new facility and able to ship. So go to DMLCBD.com. Also, this entire broadcast, every single day, Monday through Friday, is always inspired by the 47 Report. Ryan, you want to show them the 47 Report? 47report.com. That is the best newsletter in all of the lands. We have information every single day for you. Yes, we do. About the Trump administration, about President Trump, about Congress, and what we're doing to make America great again. We also talk about the resistance. There is no newsletter like it anywhere else. In fact, my buddy Andy, who's not very political, but a buddy of mine, sent me a text message this morning. Swear to you, you know God, I wouldn't say swear to God if it wasn't true. He said, just want to let you know your 47 Report and DML Report is outstanding. It is a morning and afternoon read for me. I don't know of another newsletter that is as comprehensive. And there you go. It's a buddy of mine who's not even that political, and he's just sitting there and he's eating it up all day long. So go to 47report.com, put in your information, and boom, the next day you become the smartest person in the room. And I'm telling you, everybody loves it. Before we get into the news here, let me just throw up a picture for a second, because I know a lot of you are always championing for my family. Yes, Mary has been ill, but you're going to see she had a great weekend because our daughter, Ashley, got engaged, a surprise engagement on the beach from a great, great young man named Brendan. And it happened over on Saturday. And my daughter and all of her siblings, Denny was involved, Ryan was involved, Kelly was involved, Brendan's sister was involved. It was a family ordeal. It was beautiful. Everybody on the beach was excited. And then they came home and we had a little celebration at my house, and Miss Mary was just over the moon happy. So all of you who have given us so many well wishes and prayers, you know, the Lynches had a good weekend this weekend. And thank you for everybody who said, you know, congratulations. We appreciate it in a big way. Speaking of photos, here we go. You ready? Ryan, you got that beautiful photo of Kristi Noem? Put that photo of Kristi Noem up there. Here's Kristi Noem. She's holding a gun. She's standing next to 2 border agents, DHS, ICE, I'm not sure who it is. Yeah, she looks beautiful because she is a beautiful woman. She's got her long hair. She's got her makeup. She looks like Kristi Noem looks every single day. She is being authentic. Now, there's the picture. Some reason, who knows why? You could get rid of the picture now, Ryan. For some reason, who knows why? Megyn Kelly, who I know pretty well. It's not like she and I are going to any movies together and our families aren't together at Christmas. But I sat across this woman week after week after week for years. For years. And let me tell you something. I'm all cool. If you're an independent and you're like starting to lean towards Trump because you know you can monetize it, I don't care what you're doing it for as long as you're putting out a good message. All right? If you're a fake Trump lover because you are making money and people want to buy into your nonsense, I don't care. I'd rather you be selling pro-Trump and not believing what you're selling than being anti-Trump. The problem I have, and it's a very, very clear problem. Hey, Dennis, package stuff that doesn't have tape right now, please. Thank you. It's very loud in this place. So, going back to what I was saying, Megyn Kelly, she's selling a pro-Trump message, and I like that. But I understand Megyn has to fill time and air. It's not easy, especially if somebody's telling you to stretch it out because you got a couple hour show there on Sirius that they're paying you millions of dollars for. But there's so many things that a conservative or a fake conservative can go after Democrats for. There's a long list. You don't have to tell me. I have a 47 report every single morning that puts out all of the resistance news. Today alone, there were 12 single items that I can build an entire show around, each single one of them. But instead of going after the left, instead of going after the people who are trying to resist MAGA, Megyn Kelly has decided that she's going to go after Kristi Noem. Put up the Kristi Noem picture one more time. Megyn Kelly doesn't like the fact that Kristi Noem is wearing makeup and looking really pretty in the midst of a picture that is promoting border security. Promoting border security. Megyn Kelly doesn't like it. I'm going to let you hear in your own words what Miss Kelly had to say. Play it.
She's cosplaying ICE agent. And she, of course, is doing it with like 25 pounds of hair, only to be outdone by her 30 pounds of makeup and false eyelashes. There's no false eyelashes on an ICE raid. Stop trying to glamorize the mission and put yourself in the middle of it as you cosplay ICE agent, which you're not. I can't stand these photo ops, you guys. I think they diminish ICE. They diminish DHS, CPB. She's not an agent. She is an administrative policy person appointed by Trump because she was very loyal to him. Fine. But stop with the glam. I mean, she looks like I look right now, but she's out in the field with her gun being like, we're going to go kick some ass. No one wants you there.
So I'm going to pick this apart because it needs to be picked apart because the message today is going to be about messaging. First of all, what did she want Kristi Noem to do? Roll out of bed and take the picture? If she rolled out of bed and took the picture, everybody would be like, why aren't you giving enough time to putting a little bit of energy into something so important? You're promoting border security. Why would you be so disgusting? You couldn't get a little dressed up? I mean, look at Zelensky. Zelensky comes into the White House looking like a G.I. Joe wannabe, and everybody slams him that he should be wearing a suit. Because when you're in the White House, you should be wearing a suit. So she is going to blast the woman who is leading the best DHS department since it was formed back in the Bush days. Why do that? Why not sit there and celebrate and say, you know what? It didn't take a man. It took a woman to be in the job. A beautiful woman at that, who says, yeah, I might be beautiful and I might be bright, but I'm more than just a pair of sexy legs and beautiful eyelashes. I'm a woman who's taking my job seriously. I'm a woman who goes down to an El Salvador prison and I showcase what it is we're locking up. I go down to the border and I'm actually participating. I don't want somebody who's a bureaucrat. I don't want somebody who's a paper pusher and just sitting in DC making phone calls and pretending like they understand what the front line is like. She's not a Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly sits behind a microphone and a desk. She's got more people fluffing her hair and putting makeup on for a podcast. You got to be shitting me. I don't even comb my hair before I get on a podcast. No makeup, no nothing. It's authentic. What you get is what you want. Authenticity. She's going to slam this woman. We've got the best numbers in our country's history at the border. Kristi Noem should be praised up and down, not only for the great job she's doing, but she's doing the job that most people would say you have to give to a man. And you know what? If she's going to glam herself up, because that's what she does every day, she did it when she was a great governor of South Dakota. South Dakota did wonderful underneath her leadership. If she's going to glam herself up, because at the end of the day, Megyn, glamming herself up is going to make more people look at the picture or more people tune in, that's a great thing. You know that better than anybody, Megyn. Let's remember where we came from. Roger Ailes, the mastermind behind all of cable television, recognized that the viewer at Fox News, when it first launched, and even going past that, was the 50, 60, 70-year-old male. So what did Roger Ailes do? He went out and said, hey, I'm not going to do the CNN model. I'm going out and getting women who look like models. They have brains and they've got looks. And if you combine those two together, it is the most powerful punch of all time. And so whoever sat there and screamed at Megyn Kelly and criticized Megyn Kelly on the right-hand side for saying, hey, she's too dolled up. She's got too much makeup on. Why do you look like that? You're delivering the news. You're not going to the prom. Megyn Kelly has a podcast. Ryan, let me see the photos. Take the podcast photo with the white choker around her neck. I mean, that's how she dresses for the podcast. She looks like she's going to the Oscars. Is that not a woman who's trying to use her looks and her hair and her push-up bra and what I would probably imagine fake eyelashes to try to get viewers? I have never seen any podcaster, male or female, try to look like that. I mean, how rude, how stupid is the messaging? Because this video of Megyn Kelly has gone all over the internet. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to defend Kristi Noem, and I'm going to defend the job that she's done, because the job she's done is the best I've seen in 20 years. And I've been covering this topic like nobody else, and Megyn Kelly knows that. Let's also remember that when Megyn Kelly was promoting herself as a news anchor, she wasn't necessarily doing it in a pinstripe suit. Let me show you how she was flaunting herself. Let's take up picture one, Ryan. I don't care which of the two you take. This is the picture that Megyn Kelly had on GQ. Does that look representative of somebody who's trying to tell you the news in a serious sort of way? Or is that somebody who's trying to seduce you and lure you into her show? Let's show the next one, Ryan. There you go. This next one, there's a picture that a kid is proud of. Huh? Hey, there's my mom. There's my mom. She's a news anchor. On the cover of GQ. This woman has got some nerve. You could come back, Ryan. She's got some nerve, because Kristi Noem, unlike Megyn Kelly, isn't just sitting behind a desk and reading a teleprompter. She's out trying to secure a border and secure the United States from foreign invasion. Whether that foreign invader is a day laborer looking to take an American's job, whether it's a freaking gang member who's going to wind up raping a woman or hurting a child, or whether it's a terrorist that wants to blow up your city. She's going to sit there and be so petty as to rip Kristi Noem apart. So let me tell you something. I have no angst against Megyn Kelly as a human being. She's a very nice woman. In fact, I enjoyed my time sitting across from her. If I saw her tomorrow, I would say hello. But if I saw her tomorrow after I said hello, I'd say, Megyn, what are you doing? Why are you taking somebody who's doing the best job I've ever seen at DHS? Why are you taking somebody who addressed the number one problem we had in this country and helped solve it to a level that maybe our country can survive? And you're going to bust this woman's chops over wearing makeup and and holding a gun? Nobody wants to see that photo? No, maybe you don't want to see that photo. She's not an administrator. She's not a desk sitter like you are. She's a doer. She's out there and doing what other people wouldn't do. You wouldn't have the guts, Megyn. In the same way you don't have the guts to get on a podcast without your fake eyelashes, hair extensions, and push-up bra and your prom dress. You would never have the guts to go into the prisons. You would never have the guts to stand across from the cartel. Instead, you used to take people like me and send them. You would never have the guts to stand in front of the Bundys and all the guns that were out there at the M16s from the BLM like you sent me. That woman right there would have the guts. Whether she's beautiful, whether she's the ugly duckling, it doesn't matter. Look at her for her job. You sit there and you rag on, the trans this and trans that and men and girls sports. And then you turn around and you take a girl who's actually doing something and you're going to slam her or throw her down. So this way you could get clicks and go viral. And I find that to be absolutely 100% Disgusting. And this is why the Republicans and the conservatives always get their ass kicked. If Donald Trump is not out giving the message, we are getting our ass kicked because the conservatives and the Republicans don't know how to stick together. They stab each other in the back constantly. I'm going to show you examples of this right now. Ryan, get ready. Don't play it yet. But the Trump entrance into the UFC fight, that's the next video. Donald J. Trump has done everything he possibly can to unite the Republican Party, to unite the conservative movement around MAGA. He has taken people from all walks and brought them into his circle. One of the people that he helped promote and pop up to the next level in terms of his popularity is a guy named Dave Portnoy. We talked about this last week, but we talked about it from a different perspective because Dave Portnoy, because his stocks went down, got on CNN. This is the same guy that the president invited in to interview him, who walked around the White House with him, letting Dave take all of his selfies and all his camera stuff. So this way, Dave's account could get higher and higher in terms of popularity. Millions of people going into Dave Portnoy. Fox News putting Dave Portnoy on during COVID, making him look like a superhero because he's raising money for small businesses, which I completely compliment him for. But at the end of the day, it's always about Dave Portnoy and supporting Dave Portnoy's lining his pockets. So last week, when he was down $20 million, he acclaimed, or 20% of his net value, which I think he says that he's worth $100 million. He tells everybody how much money he's worth. Who does that? Who goes out and starts taunting people? Because that's what you're doing with how much money you've got, flaunting it like a complete ass. This guy gets on and starts railing on Trump, railing on him because his money's going down, because the tariffs are what he wants. The tariffs are a great thing, by the way. They're going to save this country in many different aspects. But Dave Portnoy doesn't know that. And for those of you who don't know who Dave Portnoy is, he's the guy who founded this Barstool Sports BS, where it's all about sports stuff. And he's got two women who are at the top of the podcast charts because they talk about oral sex. This is who we're talking about, okay? And Trump invites him in. I don't know why Trump invites these characters in sometimes, but he does. And the minute that Dave Portnoy starts losing some money on the freaking stock exchange, he goes on CNN and he says that he would be willing to vote for a Democrat. But then what happens? Right after he crybabies, the stock market comes back up, and it's up again today. In fact, we had one of the greatest stock market days of all time, if not the best, just the other day. So what does Dave Portnoy do? Well, it's time to get the attention. So he gets his front row seat at the UFC. And of course, the UFC championship fights are always a huge draw because Trump is going to be one of the people who are going to be highlighted there. Everybody's coming in. Fake Ted Cruz, who last week was doing a whole podcast about how you're going to pay $4,200 more in your car purchase because Trump's tariffs. Slamming on Trump, but then the first chance he's got to take advantage of being with Trump, sitting right next to Trump at the UFC. All cameras on Ted Cruz. But here's the worst part. Dave Portnoy, who was willing to vote for a Democrat last week, is now sitting there making sure he's shaking the hand of the President of the United States so everybody can see him do it. Yeah. Odds are Trump didn't hear Portnoy on CNN saying that he would vote for a Democrat. He didn't see the video of Portnoy slamming on Trump. This is who we anoint on the conservative side. I will never understand it. You got the Shapiros and Candace Owens all slamming the tariffs, but now that the market's back up and it doesn't look like it's going to be Armageddon, oh, well, he's not such a bad guy. Go Trump, go Trump. You got Megyn Kelly slamming somebody for doing the best job DHS has ever had because she has eyeliner on and a little bit of hairspray, holding a gun instead of holding herself like a slut on GQ. You got Dave Portnoy, Trump. Yeah, I'd vote for a Democrat if it means my stocks go back up, only the next day to be shaking the president's hand. Do you see the problem we have? Ted Cruz slamming the president and his tariffs on his podcast. Why does a senator have a podcast? Tell me that. Especially the state of Texas. The state of Texas is absolutely screwed. Ryan, get me the Texas video. with the big statue. It should be, you got it? You got it ready? Okay, so last week, my son Dennis here told you that the state of Texas is now having Bangladesh Day and Pakistan Day. And now we're going to show you, although we've already showed you this on this podcast going back months ago, but now with all these special days, people like, what's happening to Texas? One of the largest statues in the United States of America is in Texas. There you go. Okay, there you go. That statue is not of Paul Revere. It's not of George Washington. It is one of the largest statues in the country. And take a look at what that is. Okay, it is, what is it? Dennis, do you even know what that is? Is that a Bangladesh? It's Hindu. It's a Hindu signal. Look at that. Look at that photograph right there. I don't know what it is. I think it's like 90 feet in the air. That's Texas. That's Texas. What's Ted Cruz doing on a frickin' podcast? How about saving your country and your state from the sort of invasion that is now turning our states inside out and upside down? In fact, if I didn't broadcast this on Facebook, I would have given you other videos that you need to see. They're all over my X account. All throughout the weekend, there have been people who are doing prayer rug ceremonies in the middle of our cities. Our cities are literally shutting down streets. So this way, prayer rugs and prayers from those people of the Middle East are happening in the middle of our streets. And I got Ted Cruz at the UFC pretending as if he's a Trump champ. This is the problem we're having. Now, here's the good news. There was 20,000 people at a UFC fight. Trump, 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 Trump. Well, let me tell you that. As nice as it is, it's not what Bernie Sanders is getting. 20,000 people for Trump, but in the state of Utah over the weekend, they had 20,000 people in a red state show up for him. And then days before that in LA, there was 36,000 people out championing for Bernie Sanders and AOC. Communism and socialism having a baby, that's what it looks like. Those are the two parents right there. Ryan, give me the first video of Bernie Sanders being introduced. Look at this crowd. It looks like a Trump rally. If that doesn't scare you, I don't know what does. I want you to remember what you felt like in 2020 when Trump was removed from the presidency and Joe Biden came in. I want you to remember what it felt like for 4 years under Joe Biden. I want you to remember the fear you had. I want you to remember the amount of money you were paying for groceries. I want you to remember what it was like down at your border. You see those people? Those people are uniting. You know what you don't have? You don't have people on the left criticizing their own because they're dressed up with makeup. You don't have people going on from the left and saying, yeah, I would vote for Trump. You don't have that. The left sticks together like glue. The right, they'd kill their own mother if they had to get ahead with a click. Okay, Bernie Sanders, here, I'll make matters worse. Let's get the footage of AOC being introduced. Go ahead. We could kid ourselves all we want. You could look at every UFC video and say there was 20,000 people screaming for Trump. Yeah, you know what? 19,998. Because let's not forget you had Ted Cruz and Dave Portnoy there. When I see crowds like that showing up for AOC and Bernie Sanders, I start to shiver. I start to think about the fact that we may be in a 4-year temporary hold until we lose the grip and they take over. And that's why, you know what? I mean, normally I don't get into petty nonsense in this thing I call a studio. I don't get involved in that kind of nonsense. We talk about real topics here. We talk about immigration. We talk about nuclear war. We talk about, taxes. I don't talk about Megyn Kelly. I never talk about other podcasters on here. But this is a problem. The United States of America is filled with a conservative bloc that does not give the right people the spotlight. We give it to freaking Ben Shapiro. We give it to Candace Owens. We give it to Megyn Kelly. We give it to Dave Portnoy. I mean, geez, if Anthony Scaramucci all of a sudden started championing for Trump again and launched a podcast, would we give him the support too? If Michael Cohen, the lawyer who once loved Trump only to hate him and try to throw him in jail, if he decided that overnight he had a dream and his dream was that Trump's the best president ever and he launched a podcast, would we forgive him for his past sins? I would hope not. We're losing the war on messaging. We are in a civil war right now in this country. There's not a gun drawn. There's not a fist thrown. We are in a civil war of messaging. And think about what we're up against. We don't have Facebook. We don't have Google. We don't have Amazon. We don't have Apple. We got X, which when you measure X against those other ones, their traffic is minuscule compared to the amount of people who use Google search and who use Apple iPhones and Apple News and all the things that Amazon's putting out on Amazon Prime and Facebook and Instagram. We're getting our ass kicked on that side. You want to turn around and look at online, look at foxnews.com. Arguably gets more traffic than any other conservative, if you even want to call them conservative, website. But they are a far distant second, third, fourth, fifth place, whatever it is, to New York Times, CNN. Those two right there dominate all things online. People, CNN's ratings are in the trash. Maybe on television. Television's a dying medium. Go look at CNN.com. They're almost getting double the traffic of Fox News. New York Times, from newsletters, New York Times has the #1 newsletter most read in the world, let alone the country. We're getting our asses kicked on messaging. And so when we do have a chance, we've got Kristi Noem being thrown under the bus because she's a beautiful woman by another woman who's beautiful. To me, that looks a little catty and that looks a little jealous. And that's why we shouldn't be giving Megyn Kelly any kind of pole position when it comes to podcasting. You should run for the hills. Over the weekend, I put it up there on Facebook and people are like, I listen to her every single day. Well, you know what? You're a fool. You're digging your own grave. You can't trust these people. You can't trust them at all. Those Democrats right now, they're on the warpath. And the only thing they're missing is a real, true leader who can bring home the message, because Bernie Sanders is 83 years old. Nobody's going to vote for an 83-year-old. And AOC doesn't have what it takes to win a presidential election. But let me tell you something. If a person emerges who's got the look and who's got the style and who's got the freaking cadence of Barack Obama, and Bernie Sanders gets behind that guy or gal, it's lights out. We got to start picking up our game in a big, big way. Now, here's the thing. We can win the war on messaging, but Donald Trump can't do it alone. We could win the war on messaging if everybody were to continue to do what we're doing here. That's why we created 47 Report. We created 47report.com so this way people can have all the positive news they need about Trump. Why isn't Megyn Kelly just there giving positive news all day long? Make no mistake, if there's a lawmaker like Ted Cruz who's slamming tariffs, I'm going to call him out. If Trump turns around tomorrow and starts talking about amnesty, I'm going to call him out. But we don't give the left petty things to see that there are breaks and cracks. Megyn Kelly could sit up there and say 50 things bad about Democrats. The one that went viral is when she says it bad about the DHS Homeland Security chief. The stupidity. I'm going to play a video for you right now of a Democrat lawmaker. I don't even know this woman's name. She's a lawmaker. I don't know. She's in the House of Representatives. She is literally up there lying to people about what Trump is doing with illegal aliens. Play it.
Don't let people tell you we have to choose between securing our borders and upholding the rule of law. Don't let anyone tell you the way we keep people safe is by dismantling due process. The Trump administration's tactic right now is to overwhelm us with information with the sole purpose of distracting, demeaning, and dividing us. This administration is invoking a 227-year-old law to speed up mass deportations, stripping people of due process. This law, known as the Alien Enemies Act, was created in 1798 with the purpose of expanding the president's power to deport non-citizens from the United States during times of war. During times of war. They are detaining and deporting people with no due process or regard for legal residency in this country, all under the guise that we are at war right now. This is not the rule of law that MAGA Republicans claim to care so much about. This is a harmful and indiscriminate application of an old law that strips real people of their civil liberties and the opportunity to chase life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The reason due process exists is to both hold people who break the law accountable, but also to guarantee that innocent people don't get unfairly punished. The only way to protect a U.S. citizen from being wrongly rounded up and shipped to a dangerous foreign prison is to have a process to guarantee that you aren't deporting a U.S. citizen, a process that already exists and should be used accordingly. This administration has already admitted that there is at least one person who has been imprisoned who they didn't intend to round up. And here's the kicker. They excused it by calling it a, quote, administrative error, and they are doing nothing to correct it, all in violation of a court order and this individual's civil rights. How many more might there be? How many more could there be if there isn't due process? Where does this end? If they don't care about imprisoning an innocent person in this instance, then I'm not safe and you're not safe. None of us are safe. Anyone could become an administrative error that they do nothing to correct. A threat to due process anywhere is a threat to due process everywhere. This is the MAGA playbook. They test how far they can push their authority until there is no one left to defend the rule of law and the integrity of our rights and our liberties. Democrats have been ready to address our broken immigration system with a comprehensive approach.
Yeah, just a correction. It's Sarah McBride is actually he. It's the first transgender representative out of Delaware.
That's who we just saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for making that correction. So you've got a trans dem sitting there telling lies. First and foremost, the person that person is talking about was deported as an illegal alien and a suspected terrorist who was part of a terrorist gang. And the Democrats are going to make it sound like the president of the United States deported an American citizen without giving the American citizen due process. How ridiculous is this? But these messages here and these clowns who are giving the messages, they're tied together. Every single Democrat is singing that same song right now, telling lies about what Trump is doing. And then you got the courts who are trying to get back these terrorists into the United States. Now, here's what your responsibility is. Because you look at that message, and that is the widespread message right now by the Democrat Party. So the question becomes this. If your new leaders are communists, socialists, and trans, I just gave you 3 videos that prove it. Sanders, AOC, and that freak from wherever it is. What was it? Delaware. I want to play the king of all Democrats. Here's what the king of all Democrats was just saying about 14 years ago when it came to illegal aliens. Ryan, will you please play the video of King Obama debating Hillary Clinton?
Administration, the Bush administration, has done nothing to control the problem that we have. We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the borders since George Bush took office. It has become an extraordinary problem. And the reason the American people are concerned is because they are seeing their own economic position slip away. And oftentimes, employers are exploiting these undocumented workers. They're not paying the minimum wage. They're not observing worker safety laws. And so what we have to do is create a comprehensive solution to the problem. Now, I have already stated that as president, I will make sure that we finally have the kind of border security that we need. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is to take on employers. Right now, an employer has more of a chance of getting hit by lightning than be prosecuted for hiring an undocumented worker. That has to change. They have to be held accountable.
There you go. Look at that. Who on here all the time says that we have to hold the employers responsible with mandatory E-Verify? Was that Dennis Michael Lynch that you just heard? No, that was Barack Obama. How the hell did we go from that message from the king to the message that we hear now? What happened? I'll tell you what happened. Trump happened. The Democrats never, ever have a good message. They're all over the place. But yet, when they unify behind a message, which they'll do, all you need is one person to create that message. And they say, oh, this is our message today. We're going to sell it like it's real. And what do? We throw our own people under the bus. We have a real problem here in the United States. It's a problem of messaging. We are not talking about the right thing at the right time. We just are not. And it burns me. It burns me to no end. And that's why I said, you know what? Today we're going to talk about the importance of messaging. And I will tell you right now, you need to turn off anybody who does not always give a pro-MAGA message. I repeat, if you've got somebody who is going to say, hey, this lawmaker, Rand Paul is going to be voting against this bill, of course, call them out. But don't go into petty exchanges like Megyn Kelly, because I'm going to give you something about what's happened in this country that nobody is talking about. Nobody but me. Let me get this tweet up here that I put out, and Ryan's going to get the video. Get the video, Ryan, of the Chinese people who do this as B-roll. Ryan is going to show you a B-roll. B-roll means you're going to see the image as I'm talking, but for people who are listening, I'm going to explain what it is they're seeing. So this was taken down at the border, okay? What you're seeing is Chinese nationals coming through our border. Let me give you what the numbers were. In 2021, we had 342 illegals from China come. In 2022, it was 1,987 from China. In fiscal year 2023, it was 24,125. And in fiscal year 2024, 33,300 illegals from China. That is a 9,600% increase of illegal aliens from China under the Biden-Harris administration. Now, do you think these people were deported? Do you think these people are on their way back to Beijing? No, they're not. Let me tell you why it is that Xi Jinping sent in so many people, why so many Chinese went through our border. There's one reason and one reason only that nobody ever talks about except for yours truly. And that's why I ask you right now, if you're on Facebook, hit the share button. If you're listening to this on replay on X, hit the share button. If you're listening on Rumble, hit the share button. There's this bad little thing called the 14th Amendment, and it's got this country by the gonads. I just added up for you all those people Do you know what their instructions were? Get into the United States, find a woman, have sex, have babies. When the baby is ready to travel, come back home to China. I've already talked to you about birthing hotels, and I've written about it in the DML report, which you can get by signing up at the 47report.com. Birthing hotels. The Chinese send in mothers. They have their children here in LA. They pop them out, and then they go home. And then when they're 18 years old and they're adult, they come back. And then they can petition for all of their relatives. You're going to wind up having Chinese nationals who hate America, who are working for Xi Jinping to have children in this country. And here's the difference. Americans get online for Starbucks and get pissed off if the line's taking 10 minutes. People get pissed off and throw trays upside down in McDonald's when their Happy Meal doesn't come out in 3 minutes flat. The Chinese will wait 100 years to take over this country. The Chinese will wait 25 years for somebody to be born and then be raised and be anti-America, but have that U.S. citizenship because they were born on U.S. soil through an illegal alien, the 14th Amendment, and then that Chinese person is going to wind up running for office. And then with the way the Chinese can hack servers, they'll win the election. And then they'll go from being a state senator to then a U.S. senator, then maybe a U.S. governor, and then one day run for U.S. presidency. 50 years from now, you and I will probably be dead, but my kids won't be. Your grandkids won't be. You mark my word. If we don't start taking this stuff super seriously, we are going to lose our country to China. We may lose our country to Bernie Sanders in 2 years from now, 3 years from now. You could wave your MAGA flag all you want, but unless you start putting your time, energy, clicks, shares, money towards the people who have a real message in this country, we're going to lose. We're going to lose. I'm going to conclude the show here with another video. It too is about messaging. For those of you who can't see this, I'm going to describe this. Ryan, you want to play this video as B-roll? It's a basketball game. It's a high school basketball game. And a young white man is going down. He's taking a three-point shot, and he hits it. The white kid does. Play it again, Ryan. And then out of nowhere, many seconds after the boy hits the white boy hits the three-point shot, purposely, a black young man comes up and gives him an elbow to the face, knocking him down on the floor and injuring him. You want to know what happened to the black kid? He got kicked off the basketball team and suspended. Why isn't this guy in jail for attempted murder? If it was a white kid who did that to a black kid on the basketball court, not only would he be up for hate crimes, he would be held up on a flagpole for the entire United States to see that we're not going to take this kind of thing, and we're going to try him as an adult, and we're going to send him to jail because that's beyond assault. That's attempted murder. An elbow to the face, knocking somebody down? What about if he cracked his head and split his head open? And he's dead with blood all over the court. We're lucky that this boy didn't die. That should be attempted murder, but it never happens. I'm going to tell you, 6.5% of the population in this country is black male. 53% of the homicides in this country are committed by the black male. When are we going to call it out? It's about messaging. It's about the truth. It's about facts. Yeah, you want to know something? I'll do a report tomorrow if you want me to about how I was just telling this story. Let me tell you the story I had a couple over our house over the weekend. It doesn't matter who it was. And the woman is a school teacher who's getting ready to retire. And we were talking about this video, and we were talking about the Texas murder, where the black male, 17 years old, stabbed the white male in the chest at a track meet. Boy dies in his twin brother's arms. And how, because of a ruling that this 17-year-old murderer is not going to be given the death sentence, nor is he going to wind up getting life without parole, because he's going to actually wind up being protected under juvenile status. He murdered somebody, took their life for no reason, and he's going to wind up, who knows, he may not even have to go to jail. Then we talk about this video, and we talked about the statistic that I just gave you. And she said to me, she goes, "You have no idea. I feel so bad for these children. But so many of these children have no father at home. No father at home. They're totally unruly. They've got no sense of community. They got no sense of respect for other people's lives." I'll be the first one to tell you the story that I told her. I said, look, you can say all day long about how the black community is unhinged, but you could also turn around and say about how the white kids in this country are all hooked on drugs. And I told the story about when the Hannity program said, hey, if you get any great footage, we'd love to have it. Come on. I said, how about South Chicago? They said, yeah, you willing to go? I said, yeah, I'll go. I'll go do anything. If I'm going to report the truth, I'll show my camera. I must have had a death wish at the time. I have no idea why I went there, because it was so freaking dangerous. And I remember an off-duty cop was taking me around. I've told this story before. It's interesting. I should end the show on this. I got a buddy named Tom. Used to live in Chicago. He still does, part-time. Lives in Chicago. Outside Chicago, I should say. I said, Tom, you know any Chicago police officers? Yeah, I know a guy. I said, I got to do something for Fox News. They want me to get something going into South Chicago with all the killings and stuff. He's like, oh, are you sure? I said, yeah. If you know a cop, I'd be willing to pay him, off-duty guy who wants to take me around. I get the phone call from the cop. The cop says to me, you need to be at my house between 5 and 5:30 in the morning. And I'm like, 5:30 in the morning? What the hell are we going to film at 5:30 in the morning? So I get to his house, and he comes walking out. He's got a gun on his side, and he's got a bulletproof vest. And I said, excuse me, you're not working, right? He said, no, I'm not working. I'm off duty. I said, why do you have a vest? He says, because you're asking me to take you into South Chicago, Inglewood. I said, should I have a vest? He goes, you should. I go, do you got one for me? He says, I don't. I said, I don't get it. Why would I need a vest? It's 5:30 in the morning. And oh, by the way, the sun's just cracking up here. Why are we going out at 5:30 in the morning? He said, well, Tom told me that you wanted to go out for a couple hours. I said, yeah. He goes, I can tell you right now, this tour ends at noon. I said, is there something I'm missing? He says, yeah. He says, you're going to see the criminal element. It will be out there. But at 12 noon, this becomes a different world, because all the criminal element is finally going to sleep at 4 o'clock in the morning. He says, and they won't get up until noon, and it starts all over again. All the shootings on the street, all the things on the corner, all the drugs that are being sold, all the prostitution that's happening. I said, really? He says, yeah, really. He goes, so I'll take you around. He says, but I'll tell you what I wish, though. I wish you had a bulletproof vest on, because I'd stretch it to 12:15. I said, why? He says, because I'd love you to capture on camera who's actually coming up to these corners and buying the drugs. And I said, well, who is it? He goes, kids that look like your kids, white kids, driving up in daddy's BMW. He goes, you can't believe the amount of drugs that these white kids in the suburbs are coming here to buy. So yeah, it's just not the black community. It's all over the place. But for some reason, we only point out the bad whites, and we never point out the bad blacks. And the bad blacks never wind up getting held accountable for what they're supposed to. And when we do hold them accountable, and they wind up dying, we wind up making statues of them. You know who I'm talking about, Mr. Floyd. It's about messaging. It's about tough love. Tough love is not a bad thing. I'm going through tough love right now with my wife. My wife can't stand. She can't walk on her own. I asked the doctors. They said, listen, you got to get her brain back on track. Her brain has been pulled away from normality. I said, all right, no pill to take, no pills to take, no surgery to have. Your wife has got to work harder than ever. And so I'm freaking riding my wife, riding her. And then when she gets tired, I tell her, I said, you want me to leave you for some 30-year-old woman? And she's like, don't say that to me. I said, well, then you better start walking. Now, obviously, I'm joking, but I'm pushing and I'm pushing and I'm pushing and I'm pushing because I got to break her brain and get back on track to where it is that she gets back to normal. You think it's pleasant? It sucks. But unless we show more tough love in this country, unless we show more dedication to this country, unless we have the right messaging in this country, we are going to lose it to Bernie Sanders, AOC, and some freaking weirdo from Delaware. We're going to lose it to a party that doesn't know its own message. In a 14-year span, we had Barack Obama calling for closed borders, mandatory e-verify, to all of a sudden now having it to where we should be taking terrorists back into our country and giving them due process. The Democrats make it so easy for us, and yet we can't figure out how to message, with the exception of what I think is probably, at this point, 3 guys. Donald J. Trump, Tucker Carlson, and Dennis Michael Lynch. And maybe I'll throw Steve Bannon in there as well. Other than those 4, you'll find anybody. You'll find them waving in the wind. And if you don't find them waving in the wind today, go back and look at who they were yesterday. Mr. Walsh, I'll give it to Walsh too. He's always been a good conservative. But even him, he'll sit there and pound on Trump for no reason, then all of a sudden love him the next day. That's it for me. I did a preach today. Yeah, there's other news. We could be talking about tariffs and everything else, but tariffs are meaningless unless we can sell them right, unless we could sell them correctly, unless we coalesce around the MAGA movement. Would Megyn Kelly prefer Kristi Noem be as ugly as Hillary Clinton? Would that make her happier? 47report.com. There is no newsletter like it. Put your name in there today. If you haven't done it already and you're listening to me or watching me right now and you don't do it, I ask you this, don't come back tomorrow because you really don't care about your country. You're just bored and I'm entertaining you. I'm not here to entertain. I could do entertaining. I could make you laugh all day long. We could go out on my boat and I could do walk and talks and I could throw myself into an alligator pond and try to survive. This isn't about entertaining. This is about informing. I want serious people who want to keep their country for their kids and their grandkids long term. Go to 47report.com, put your email address in there, and damn it, start sharing it every single day. People are astonished by what's happening and nobody's reporting on it except for us. And I do it for free. Unlike Megyn Kelly, who's getting millions of dollars a year to throw Kristi Noem under the bus for having the best secure border in my lifetime. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. DMLCBD.com. Buy one, get one free for those people out there who need help. I'm here to help you. And 47report.com. Again, thank you for everybody who's given us well wishes for my wife. Thank you for giving us the congratulations on my daughter, Ashley, who got engaged. Thank you for always supporting us and hitting the share button. It's a shame that Facebook holds us back like they do, and you're the difference between more people hearing what I have to say and what it is that the other people have to say. No doubt, Megan's getting her reach. Sure, you think Facebook's holding back that video? Jesus. Until the next time, may God bless you, our troops, our president, our vice president, and these United States, and Kristi Noem, who I think not only is smart, But man, are you freaking 10 times better looking than Megyn Kelly. We'll talk to you soon.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DMail News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and teamed email.